Well, good afternoon, NBA fans. Welcome to Sports Talk with Big J, coming to you live from Plainfield, Illinois. Well, I got something on my mind today. Just my opinion. I wanted to talk about the old Draymond Green situation. It's been all over the talk shows, all sorts of people commenting and really heard some disturbing kinds of ideas surrounding Draymond Green. So I just wanted to give my opinion on the whole thing. I got this thing where I like to refer to NBA nonsense. A lot of nonsense going around the NBA talk. But anyway, most of you know about the situation with Draymond Green, who basically sucker punched his teammate Jordan Poole in practice. And I don't know if you saw the video, but everything in the video really looked like Draymond was basically the instigator of the whole thing, and he really crossed the line, went overboard. Now Draymond's come out and had some press conference and supposedly apologized and admitted he was wrong and that sort of thing. And certain people gave him credit for doing that. I don't know how much credit he really deserves, because my problem is the fact that he did what he did in the first place. And now this is what some of the disturbing, or what I consider to be disturbing things around this whole issue. Heard a lot of different comments from different people, players, and some people didn't take it that seriously. Some people seem to indicate that this is a common thing, teammates getting into fights and kind of dismissing that kind of thing. But one of the weirdest things to me is that this idea that people were upset about the tape being leaked. And supposedly, the Golden State Warriors have launched an investigation to find out how and who leaked, this videotape. And, there's a position in the organization, I guess they call it video coordinator. And, certain people are blaming the video department and essentially keeping a lot of hate on the video recorder. And I think that's really kind of silly. And I've even heard people commenting that say that is even the most important issue, is that who leaked the tape. Not that Draymond, sucker punched Jordan Poole and almost, could have endangered his whole, livelihood by breaking his jaw and breaking his nose or something. The larger issue was who leaked the tape. And I think that is absolutely absurd. I'm so glad that the tape did get, released, so people could really see what happened, and in a way, to me, expose the hypocrisy of Draymond. Draymond has gotten a lot of praise, with his podcast, and he's kind of coined this phrase, the new media, and sets himself up as morally superior to what he calls the old media. The new media is about honesty and the truth and keeping it real and all that sort of thing, and the old media will lie, say anything just to get clicks, is according to him, and just to say things, and old media doesn't really take into account that these players are human beings and have family, friends, girlfriends. I mean, this is according to Draymond's words. So here he's, speaking like that, and then he does something like this in practice. So where was his thinking, during that incident? Where was his thoughts about human beings, Jordan Poole being a human being with family and friends, a mother, father? He didn't think about it then. Just so, to me, it's just a lot of hypocrisy. And I think Draymond has really been exposed. So here's the other thing that, to me, that this kind of highlights is that, and I said this before, that Draymond is overrated. And people have overrated him for a long time. And he hears the things that are being said, and he has come to believe the hype. And here's the interesting thing, because he believes what people say, in a way, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then he has to behave in a way that confirms what people think about him. And he's almost like acting, playing a role. So one of the images around Draymond is that he is, tough guy. He's the heart and soul of the Warriors. And even listen to the comments from Colin Cowherd, who actually was defending Draymond's behavior. He actually said that the Warriors needed somebody. Every team needs somebody to, how did he say it? To knock people out of their complacency. In other words, the Warriors won the championship last year, so if they didn't have somebody like Draymond Green to, kicked them out of their sense of complacency that they would have fallen off, this year. They wouldn't have been as hungry. So you need somebody to get into people's faces and create havoc. And, according to Colin Coward, every team needs a Draymond Green to keep them, motivated. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So Draymond hears these kinds of things. He's known for being a vocal person, and gets in people's faces, and people applaud that. Now, here's the thing. I think that a lot of this is brought about by the media itself. Media heaps praise on people. They create an atmosphere that, to me, is conducive to confrontations and conflict. And I don't know if it's because they like to see that, because it, creates something to talk about. It creates a lot of content for a lot of these talk shows, but they seem to like to create an environment that breeds conflict. It's almost like you see on the playground, two teams are playing, and on the playground, when we were kids, and you got people staying around, two people get into a dispute, and if left alone, the two people would probably settle. The dispute would go quickly and be done with. But what you have is the people around began to instigate. Oh, you're gonna let him talk to you like that? You're gonna let him treat you like that? You're gonna take that? And so the two people that are involved in the conflict are basically being goaded into fighting each other. And so to live up to the crowd's instigation, they end up fighting, and it becomes, an escalation. It becomes much worse. And to me, that's kind of like what's happening with Draymond. He has people telling him, you got to be you. Who are you? Well, you're a hothead, and you're complaining to the refs all the time, and you're willing to get into anybody's face, and they consider that as a positive. The media does. So, and then they start to coin these terms, which is, to me, around confrontation, terms like an enforcer. Every team needs an enforcer. Why? Enforcer of what? Unbelievable. And they created this scenario as to what even constitutes basketball. So the media has created this narrative that the game actually includes things that are not, to me, even a part of the game. But the pundits have convinced people that certain behaviors are naturally a part of the game. Let me give you an example. Trash talking. So conventional wisdom says that trash talking is part of basketball. Yeah, we know people trash talk, but is that a part of basketball? Is that a requirement to play basketball? I say no. This concept of intimidation, to intimidate, to humiliate, or to put fear in your opponent. That happens, but is that part of basketball? No. Basketball is shooting, passing, dribbling, rebounding. That's all. That's all it is. All this other stuff is not basketball. All that stuff is, humans acting in a way that creates friction and fighting, but that's really not basketball. You can play basketball without trash talking. You can play basketball without trying to intimidate your opponent. See, generally, the only reason for doing those things is because you don't have the confidence in your ability to play basketball. You can't defeat them playing basketball. So you have to add certain other advantages, to try to gain the upper hand, because your basketball skill and knowledge is not enough. So that's why you do the other stuff. If your basketball skills and knowledge was enough, why would you need a trash talk? Somebody asked me that. Why would you need a trash talk if your basketball skills and your knowledge of the game is enough to defeat your opponent? Why do you need a trash talk? Well, because your skills are not enough. You're not skilled enough. You don't know the game enough. So you have to go in other areas to even the playing field. That's what it is. But the media has created this notion, and a lot of fans have bought into it, is that all these other things are part of the game. The teams need enforcers. It needs somebody to get in people's faces, and this whole idea they talked about teammates getting into fights in practice. And rather than condemning that, it's being praised as something that's natural. Just because something happens doesn't mean it's natural or should happen. They all talk about, Michael Jordan when he got in a fight with Steve Kerr, punched him. Of course, if Jordan does anything, then it's all good. It's fine. But this kind of acceptance of these kinds of behavior is what creates the environment for these silly confrontations. You know, it's so funny. You ever seen a basketball game? You know, two players get into confrontation, and the two teams, everybody has to jump off the bench and get involved. Why? Well, they've been egged on by the media, because if they don't, then people are questioning their commitment to their team. You know, you're supposed to jump in and jump into the fight. And what's interesting is there's never really going to be a fight. So why are you jumping in to separate people that are not really going to fight? But it's this standard conventional wisdom. Is this the way things are supposed to be? So what's going to happen with Draymond as far as will there be any punishment? You know, people have noted that he's had other instances of you know, creating problems. Of course, you will all remember the incident with the, you know, LeBron and the Cavs, where Draymond was suspended for a game. Many people try to say that that cost Golden State the championship. You know, I don't really buy that, because that was game 5, so they still had 2 games with which they could have beaten the Cavs. So I think it's kind of nonsense to say that that really cost them the championship. And of course, you know, Draymond got into the confrontation with KD, and some people think that he actually ended up chasing KD away from the Warriors. You know, he was, you know, penalized for kicking, I forget the guy from, you know, the Thunder at the time. Kicking him in the groin. So Draymond's had a number of incidents, but so there's even speculation and talk that Draymond might actually end up having to leave the Golden State Warriors. They say like they're done with him. I don't know if that would happen, because I really think that in their mind, they really think that if they don't have Draymond, they don't win those championships. You know, I don't necessarily believe that, because I still think that Draymond is overrated. But the conventional wisdom and the narrative is that, you know, Draymond is an integral part of the 4 championships. And, you know, the idea that those 3, Draymond, Clay, and Steph, being together for as long as they have, creates, you know, a lot of the special camaraderie and feeling that they have around 3 players. And for them to break that up, I would find that to be difficult. I have to see that. To believe it. I've even heard that, you know, Draymond is trying to get to, you know, the Lakers. Or how silly could that be? What would Draymond do on the Lakers? I don't understand that. Lakers need shooting. That's what the Lakers need, shooters. And again, like I said, if you go back and watch Draymond on the USA team, the Olympic teams, you will not see him as being a significant factor in those teams. That tells me that he's not as great a player as people try to make him out to be. And yeah, he'll probably end up in the Hall of Fame. And that's because the Hall of Fame has been so watered down. They really don't put greatness, it's not about greatness anymore. It's about something you do that's worthy of attention. Even if it's one thing, you could have one thing that caused you to stand out in 1 year, and that's enough to put you in the Hall of Fame. Grant Hill, for example, I think is in the Hall of Fame. Why is Grant Hill in the Hall of Fame? Somebody tell me that. It just doesn't make sense, but that's what'll happen. Draymond end up in the Hall of Fame, and like I said, the Hall of Fame is watered down. But it's just disturbing to me that people seem to be more concerned about who leaked the tape than what Draymond actually did. To me, there's no excuse for what he did. Do not excuse that kind of behavior under any circumstances. I think a person should be able to control their emotions. And he wasn't. So don't make any excuses. Don't give him a pass. We need to hold these people to a standard. And not back down, because you can't let that kind of behavior be considered normal and acceptable, because it's not. Well, that's just my opinion. So people may disagree, but that's okay. Well, a few more days, 18 for the season to start. Looking forward to it. I'll see you later.